You know, I've always thought that it's the volcanic nature of California's mountains that makes them so interesting. Wow, I just never get tired of looking at them. And it's the volcanic nature of these mountains that provides us with hot springs, those liquid jewels located in the eastern Sierras from Lone Pine near Mount Whitney to Markleyville just south of Lake Tahoe. Almost 40 years ago, I experienced my first hot spring, and then suddenly seeking them out became a theme in my travels, almost an obsession. I guess it's the age-old adventure of exploring new places and the uniqueness of each spring that compelled me to look for more of them. Of course, the final reward has always been a relaxing soak in natural hot mineral water while surrounded by nature, often combined with a chance meeting with interesting and like-minded people. And hey, it's the Eastern Sierras, so traveling to these springs is definitely part of the adventure. To get a better understanding of hot springs, we first traveled to Lee Vining, California, the back door to Yosemite National Park and home to Mono Lake. Although now 4 times saltier than the Pacific Ocean, Mono Lake remains a major nesting area for seagulls. Flies and brine shrimp provide an abundant source of food for the birds. Mono Lake is also a popular destination for kayakers who explore an intriguing shore lined with statuesque towers of tufa. But it's what happens beneath the ground that brings us here. The volcanic history of the Eastern Sierras is well documented and easy to see. The lake itself is an ancient volcanic caldera filled with water, and Nidget Island at Mono Lake's center is a dormant volcanic cinder cone. Just south of the lake, several other volcanic craters are easily identified. Geothermal areas lie in the earthquake and volcano belts located along the Earth's shifting plates. Surface water soaks into the earth through cracks and crevices down to the area where hot magma then heats the water. As the heated water gets pushed back up through the Earth's layers to the surface, it takes on different properties. Now that we know how hot springs are formed, let's take a trip to nearby Bridgeport and visit a couple of hot spring favorites. Bridgeport is well known for its massive green pastures, and as you approach on Highway 395, a sea of grazing cattle and cowboys at work in the saddle are always a part of the local scenery. Outdoor recreation includes a challenging experience for advanced rock climbers on the Sawtooth Formation and fishing at Twin Lakes. Of course, it's delightful and unusual hot springs that bring us here. Travertine Hot Springs is located just 2 miles from the center of Bridgeport at 6,700 feet in elevation. Administered by the Bureau of Land Management, it's free for day use. Situated on large travertine ridges, Travertine has a commanding view of the high Sierras. You can see how the travertine forms as the hot spring water flows into the pools. The upper spring source is 157-degree natural mineral water. It flows from a 12-inch hole and is channeled into a 5-foot by 10-foot cement-lined soaking pool where it cools to provide a comfortable soak. A second spring source is located 100 yards below the first. 100-degree water is channeled along the top of this ridge and then drops into the 4 naturally constructed pools. It's been said that the first pool here was built in 1900, but this was a favorite place of Native Americans for hundreds of years before the arrival of Europeans. A hot spring can make a great place to work on your tan, even on a cool day. Always enter the pool by first stepping in the small foot bath located where the water flows out of the pool. You'll find this feature at many hot springs. Remember to be kind to the environment and never use any soap at a hot spring or in a stream. At 6,900 feet in elevation, Buckeye Hot Spring is located west of Bridgeport in the Toyabe National Forest on the north bank of Buckeye Creek. 135-degree natural mineral water flows over a large cliff built up by mineral deposits and cascades into natural rock pools along the edge of the creek. It's a beautiful natural setting. Buckeye is somewhat seasonal in nature due to the hot springs location. Fast high water levels destroy the rock pools each year and are then rebuilt as the creek's water level drops in early summer. It's actually possible to go under the ledge for those who enjoy a primeval cave-like experience. Hot Creek has been developed as a geologic interpretive site, and soaking at the source is prohibited and dangerous due to the unpredictable nature of its boiling geothermal water. The creek, however, is a wonderful place to swim and fish. Unfortunately, the Forest Service has closed this entire area to public use. 20 people have lost their lives or have been seriously burned at Hot Creek since 1968. Many more have been injured. Some of the posted hazards at Hot Creek are scalding water, broken glass, arsenic in water, unpredictable eruptions, and unstable ground. Personally, I have gone swimming here in the past and believe that Hot Creek can be used safely. Hilltop is a popular and easy-to-find spring with a great panoramic view of the Sierras and the Long Valley area. It has both a hot and a cold valve to adjust the temperature. It's located on water and power property, so no overnight camping is permitted. To situate soaking pools in practical locations, PVC pipes are sometimes used to transport the hot water a considerable distance. At Little Hot Creek, 180-degree spring water flows from several source locations and combines to create a steamy creek. It then flows along the edge of a small meadow, surrounded by rolling hills, the flatness of Long Valley, and a mixed forest of pine, juniper, and pinyon. A uniquely shaped cement-lined soaking pool with 3 bench seats, each at a different level, plus seating on the bottom of the pool, easily provides room for 6 people. A valve feeds approximately 120-degree water from the creek, and the pool temperature is controlled by limiting the flow of the hot water. Situated in the Inyo National Forest, dispersed camping is permitted. This was the favorite hot spring of local Native Americans for many generations, as evidenced by numerous bedrock mortar sites surrounding the spring area and substantial fields of chipped obsidian. Bowcuts are also visible in many of the ancient juniper trees on the surrounding hillsides. A small cave sits directly across the meadow from the Little Hot Creek pool, and it takes little imagination to envision this rock shelter occupied by Paiutes and the prehistoric travelers that preceded them. It's fun to sit in the cave and look out back across the meadow at the hot spring. Although the pool is close to the road, brush growing along the creek's edge provides a measure of privacy. In 1990, at a desert hot spring that is no longer, I first heard of a hot spring Shangri-La so incredible that it certainly had to be the pipe dream of a hot springing hippie. Saline Valley Hot Springs, the story went, were remote, hours away from even the nearest small town, and accessed only by way of a 50-mile brutal rock and dirt road that crossed over rugged mountain passes. That part of the story turned out to be true, and is to this day. The Shangri-La part of the story was also mostly true 20 years ago, but even the most remote places on our planet have changed in the last several decades. Today, Saline Valley is claimed by the Death Valley National Park, and most of the rules that you find in other national parks are enforced here. A long-time tradition, clothing remains optional at the hot spring areas. Gone are the Charles Manson family, unlimited stays, and the feeling that you have found someplace secret. Saline's 3 hot springs are located in a 3-mile stretch of sloping canyon that heads east towards Steel Pass. Therefore, you have a lower spring, a middle spring, and an upper spring. Volcanic rock scattered about the hot spring area has been turned into rock art intaglios. Here you see a bat, a snake, and the moon. I actually spent 6 months here in the early 1990s at the end of an era in which people lived at these springs as a winter home. It was a special time, and a lot of the old-timers that have since passed on told great stories of the valley's history as you soaked in the pools with them. Everyone in Saline Valley was known by a handle: Chili Bob, Major Tom, The Wizard, Jacuzzi Susie, Turtle Jim. I became friends with the Wizard, who constructed the hex pool at the middle spring. He was also responsible for the shower and dishwashing sink there. Bless his departed soul. The Wizard pool is well engineered, with a valve for controlling the flow, lots of seating, and a foot wash station. No dogs, no dishes, no people are 3 basic rules that have been posted at this spring source for decades. The source of the springs, although somewhat uninviting in appearance, are drinkable. Outflow from the moon pool waters a small palm grove, the only real shade on a hot day at the middle spring. Cleaning supplies are donated by visitors, and it's a group effort that keeps these pools sparkling clean. Saline Valley's wild burro population are the descendants of burros that miners used in the valley during its early mining days and are considered a nuisance and a non-native invasive species by some, while others enjoy their presence. In the past, they have multiplied into large herds, and it became an issue as to how best to manage them. Unknown individuals engaged in the mass slaughter of burros in the early 1990s, and they were often found dead in large family groups, the result of mass shootings. Later, they were rounded up and trucked out of the valley. Today, they seem to be present in much smaller numbers. These birds are another example of a non-native species that are currently populating the area. The upper spring is in a mostly natural condition and surrounded by a chain-link fence. Although part of a failed experiment, the fence now prevents direct access to the spring source by wild burros. There is an entrance for humans. Years ago, my hot springing friends asked me not to make this program. They feared that increased use would destroy these fragile places or lead to over-government regulation. Today, many old-timers believe that these springs have already been ruined. But you can make a difference. How you act when visiting these hot springs will determine whether or not they exist for yet another generation to explore and enjoy. I'm Larry Stephen.